Hey everybody, it's Seirea. I'm sick right now, but I still wanted to get out a devlog. I'm already a little bit late with it, so in case there's anybody out there who really does enjoy waiting for these every week, sorry about that. But here is me right now, and I think for this devlog I want to talk a bit more in depth about some of the ways that I implemented the gameplay and talk about the code a little bit, talk about some of the things I was able to achieve, the way that I problem solved a few things to get Rayla's gameplay working the way it is right now, and address some of the inadequacies in my programming knowledge and skill that led to some of the coding practices being the unscrupulous way that they are. If you are able to put up with this voice, then sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, I don't have a plan for this, so I'm gonna try and find the first thing that might be of note. 1 second. I also want to put out a bit of a disclaimer in case there are people like me out there who are looking for videos where Godot/Godot users are making videos where they're discussing some of the ways that they programmed their games for learning purposes, because I've definitely looked all over the internet for places where I can learn coding for Godot. And the disclaimer in this case is that I've just been flailing this entire time, just kind of like making anything work any way I can. And so the way that I'm doing it is probably very inefficient, but that's kind of the point of this video, is just showing you how I got it done no matter what, just through strength of will alone. Okay, so here is the first thing that I'll talk about here. This is the ledge climbing feature, and I'll show you what that means. The ledge climbing is... oh gosh, that. Okay, that was actually unintentional, but that's what it is. That's the ledge climb right there. That. Okay, so that is what this code right here is enabling. So the way I did this was, once again, like many things in this code, I had to quote-unquote hard code it, and let me show you what I mean by that. So we're looking at this, which is the interface where I'm putting in all the assets for the game, and in order to create the ledge climbing function, I had to put in all of these little things here. This is called an area 2D in Godot, and that is a feature in Godot that allows you to have different types of bodies to interact with each other. So Rayla, as you can see, has her own little area 2Ds, and so I have made it in the game where when her area 2D collides with this one, she will, depending on which direction she's facing, climb up on the ledge. So that's what this code here is saying. If she's facing right, then I'm telling the game here to completely change the position of the player character on the screen. So it immediately changes the X position of Rayla. If she's facing left, then it changes it the other direction, and a little bit more, because I found out that I have to get it 10 pixels more to the left in order to make it a symmetrical movement. So if you've noticed that when she's ledge climbing, and we're at a position where the screen is scrolling, I can't do that yet. Darn it, let me try and find an example. Darn it. No! Okay, you saw it there, how as soon as she climbed up, I'm gonna have to do this again. So as soon as she ledge climbs, the screen is going to jump to the left. And that's why, because as soon as she's doing that, her actual position on the screen is changing instantly. That's what this is doing. So that's my way of hard coding the ledge climb into the game, so that she instantly ends up on the ground and where she's supposed to be. So that's one of the things that I'm talking about in terms of like just getting it to work no matter what, even if it's really ugly. And I had to create this variable new position, which will store the position that she's going to be in. And so this line of code collects that new position, and then this line of code right here takes that new position and applies it to the actual position of the asset on the screen. So that's how I'm changing her position. And I make it so that you can't move while you're ledge climbing, because that gives it the snappy feeling, and it allows the player to know exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, so that's a probably poor explanation of everything I did to make the ledge climbing work. And it's also probably poor in general, but it's it's a thing. It's great, isn't it? And as you can see, I'm qualifying the code through many different like restrictions, like if she hasn't done a wall jump, if she hasn't dismounted the wall. That's the result of me debugging. Like when I'm seeing all these animation bugs and everything, I have to find what caused it and then tell the game specifically how to do it right. So my code is littered with all these very specific restrictions. See, here's a long one here. You can only ledge climb if you're on the ledge, which means you're touching that area 2D right here. And this variable can ledge is true, which means there are a bunch of other things that aren't happening that allow you to even climb the ledge in the first place. If you're not currently in the animation where Rayla has broken the surface of the water, if you're not swimming, and this very specific thing which I put in to debug something where Rayla was climbing on an imaginary ledge in the middle of bodies of water while she was swimming. I had to make a completely different variable just to debug that little thing, which is probably could have been fixed way easier and with about 60 less lines of code. It's an adventure. We're on an adventure together, and I'm glad I could take you with me and just witness this. I should make this video category horror. That's what this is. Okay, so that's ledge climbing. That's all the fun of that. Let's find something else that's very fun, shall we? Okay, here's the attack stuff, which isn't working properly, so let's not even talk about that yet, because it's not even working. Alright, here's another fun thing where I completely manhandle the game into doing what I need it to. This is telling the game that when Rayla is swimming up and she reaches the surface, that she shouldn't keep swimming forever, and that she should stop at pretty much the same place that every time, no matter the velocity that she was swimming at when she reaches the surface. So I had to create a variable called surface position, which will reliably tell the game where she should be placed. And early on, I was having a big problem where if she was at max swimming up speed, it would place her way above the water. And so she would be treading water, and she would be out of the water all the way up to her hips. And so only her feet would be kicking in the water. And it looked really funny, but that's not what it's supposed to look like. So I had to fix it, unfortunately. So basically I'm saying, if she's swimming up fast, then her surface position has to be less than this amount in order to place her in the right place. But if she's going up slowly, then it'll put her exactly at this location. So I'm going to show you, actually. Surprise, surprise, we're going to make Rayla suffer again. So I'm going to take barely any momentum into the water at all, so she's not really going to be sinking at all. So she's not going to be building any upward momentum when she breaks the surface. And you can see that like half of her face is below the water. Now we're going to enter the water from a great height, so she's definitely going to reach her max swimming up speed. So this is going to show you that... So definitely not half of her face is under the water now. It was much higher above the surface. So it's not a perfect way to get the game to put her in the same place every time here. But it works definitely well enough that it shouldn't be like really, really obvious. Okay, what else? Here you go. Here's a way that I'm getting sound effects to play only once instead of looping endlessly whenever the sounds are activated. So here's how I got it for when she puts her blades into the wall so that she's clinging. I created a variable called play cling sound, dang it. So if she's in this wall clinging animation, this variable equals the number 0. But if this variable is active, then it's going to be constantly increasing by the amount of the game time. That's what delta means. So if this variable is exactly 0, only then can it play this sound effect. That's the way that I got the game to only play this sound effect once. There has to be an easier way. I know there does, but I just wanted to make this. I just wanted to get this stuff out there. I'm sorry. Oh god. So that's me making everything way harder on myself than it should be, but it's also exercising my problem-solving muscles. So I guess hopefully this will be worth it somehow in the end, because I'm a very new programmer, relatively speaking. So crawling through the mud and getting dirty and just trying things out, learning the hard way, hopefully is going to be a good way to help me become a good programmer someday, and at least get me the skills required to make the games that I want to make, as well as I can make them. Yeah, so I'm sorry for anyone who knows how to use Godot or can program and had to look at that. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, here's the thing I put in where I can make her take damage just while she's standing there. Oh, poor girl. Here's one little minor detail that will hopefully enhance the gameplay. So when you jump and you're against a wall and you're holding the directional button against the wall to try and grab onto it, here I'll show this in the actual game. Let me get to a wall first. Oh god. Sorry, I'm not used to my own test stage yet. Okay, so here's a wall, and it took that long for her to be able to grab it, even though I'm holding against it the whole time, and it took her that long to grab it. That's what this code is doing. So, it's giving you this much time before you're able to grab the ledge after you jump. That's put in there to make sure the player doesn't grab the wall unintentionally every time that they jump. That would be really annoying. It makes it so that they have a much better chance of grabbing the wall only when they want to. But if you have done a wall jump, you can grab the wall way faster. Here I can demonstrate this better in the other test stage, the first one that I made. I can do that for you right here. So I'm going to wall jump, and that was not very much time, but I was still able to grab the wall and jump immediately. Whoops. Yeah, and I can also show you in this stage. If you have been following my Twitter, you saw me release a short clip where I was having fun with this. So this wall is very close, and you can grab it immediately after you wall jump. That's so hard to do because you have to change directions that fast on the keyboard. So that's just there to make the game feel a little bit more crisp. I think, oh god. Also, here's how I implemented the double tap feature for dashing. So in order to make Rayla do her Naruto run, or her dash, you have to double tap. And for a previous test demo I did for a personal project about 1.5 years ago, I had a whale of a time trying to figure out how to do this. And this is how I figured it out, at least somewhat functionally. It still feels a little clunky, but this is the code that I came up with in order to finally get double tapping to work. It's really weird. It involves a timer and like increasing number of variables, and way too many variables are in play, but it works kinda. And if you press right twice, or not, I guess 3 times. Okay, that was twice. That's twice. Okay, so it works most of the time. And oh, see, it didn't work that time. But most of the time, you can get her to dash. Yay, I finally didn't plummet her into the drink. Small steps in my relationship with Rayla. I think that's about all that I will address in this video, because there's nothing else that I did that's particularly interesting with this code. After this point, it's just going to be, oh, hey, I did this, and it's bad. And it's just going to get sad, and you're going to get sad, and I don't want you to be sad, so before that happens, I'll relieve you of watching any more of this. By the way, if you haven't yet, check out the small little somewhat official video I made where I ran through this new little test course that I made and called it a proof of concept, which is a loose example of the term, but it's a thing. So it would mean a lot to me if you checked that out and gave it a share and got the Dragon Prince fans to see it. And yeah, that is the only other thing I have to say. Hopefully I'll have more of that sort of thing coming soon. So if you made it all the way through this somehow and were able to listen to me with my sick voice delineate the sick things that I've done in Godot, then kudos, and you are a trooper, and I really appreciate you, and I mean that. I really, really, really appreciate it anytime I see somebody take interest in this project, in this devlog series. Thank you so much if you've been supporting this. So, with all that said, thank you again for tuning in to this devlog. I hope to be back next week with a much less hideous voice. It'll just be your regularly scheduled hideous voice. And so hopefully I will see you guys then. Have a beautiful day or night. Dream on, friends. Peace.